Hello and welcome back to Figure Barn. Now today we're diving into some of the creepiest, most collectible nightmares in vinyl form. From mischievous gremlins and terrifying clowns to werewolves on the prowl, haunted doppelgängers and the wild world of Jordan Peele's Twisted Visions, this showcase is packed with spine-chilling icons. So grab your popcorn, dim the lights and let's take a closer look at some horror movie legends who have been immortalised in Funko Pop form. Whether you're here for nostalgia, chills, or just to see Ash Williams looking ready to take on some deadites, this is the ultimate horror pop and movie showcase. Now we've got 10 to go through today and to add to the movies collection, so we better get started. And starting out quite tame on our horror journey today, we have Gizmo here with his bow and arrow. Now, as a sequel to the 1984 classic, Gremlins 2 takes the chaos to New York City, where Gizmo finds himself in a high-tech skyscraper overrun by gremlins. This time, the creatures mutate into even wilder forms. Think a brainy gremlin, a bat gremlin, and even an electric one. The film leans heavily into comedy, parrying Hollywood tropes while delivering over-the-top gremlin mayhem. Now, this figure captures Gizmo at his most heroic, where he channels his inner Rambo to take on the chaotic gremlins. Armed with his makeshift bow and flaming arrow, Gizmo sneaks through the chaos-filmed clamp centre, determined to take down the monstrous mohawk spider gremlin. As the battle reaches its peak, Gizmo fires his flaming arrow, striking Mohawk and sending him into a dramatic fiery demise. So as you can see here, that Gizmo's shown in his Rambo-esque bandana there, with a very serious, determined expression in his eyes. There's a good amount of detail here with his makeshift bow and arrow, made from a coat hanger, and the arrow showing the red cloth on the end of the touch paper, and even down to the text on the glue bottle there as well. And it's got an orange little translucent flame, if you can see it there as well, where it's been lit, ready to fire. He's even got his rope around his waist, which he uses to hold the bow as he's climbing through the air conditioning ducts through the clamp centre. Now, from the Gremlins set, this now means that we are just missing 4 out of the 10 that have been released in total. We still need Greta, the lady gremlin from Gremlins 2, and the others are the 10-inch Walmart exclusive Gizmo with the 3D glasses, and there's also 2 blacklight pops of Gizmo and Stripe, which were both Entertainment Earth exclusives in the US. Next up, we have a killer clown from outer space in the form of Spiky here. Now, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a 1988 cult classic that blends horror, sci-fi and comedy in the most bizarre way. Directed by Stephen Chiodo, the film follows a small town invaded by extraterrestrial clowns, yes, actual alien clowns, who use circus-themed weapons to capture and harvest humans for sustenance. Now, Spiky is one of the most frequently seen killer clowns, standing out with his spiked reddish-pink hair there, green outfit with yellow stars across it, and his rather sinister grin. Now, in one of his scenes, he helps create a balloon animal that comes to life, sniffing out Mike and Debbie as they attempt to escape, and that's what's depicted here. Now, there is quite a lot of killer clowns in Funko form, with 14 in total released now between 2019 and 2024. Now, this one was originally released in 2020, but this one is actually a reissue from last year of that. Now, personally, I think it's a great set, and Spiky here is holding his little balloon dog tracker there, cast in a pink translucent vinyl, and even his yellow ruff around the top of his green outfit is also done in a similar way, which is a nice little touch. Now, I know a lot of people do have a fear of clowns, which is known as coulrophobia, and I guess guys like Spiky here don't exactly help. Now, even with his big grin and his red round nose, he's not the kind of clown that you'd necessarily want at your kid's party. And sticking very much with that 80s vibe, we have David Kessler here. Now, Kessler's the unfortunate protagonist from American Werewolf in London, and is one of horror's most iconic tragic figures. After being attacked by a werewolf on the Yorkshire moors, he undergoes a terrifying transformation, leading to some of the most memorable practical effects in horror history. Directed by John Landis and brought to life by FX legend Rick Baker, the scene revolutionised werewolf transformations by making them painfully realistic, slow and visceral. Now, this transformation was so groundbreaking that it earned Baker the first ever Academy Award for Best Makeup. Now, after all of that, the pop itself is, well, honestly, it's a bit on the plain side. It depicts Kessler before being bitten in his iconic red padded jacket and complete with his large backpack, as you can just about see there, as he and Jack Goodman are lost on the moors after leaving the Slaughtered Lamb pub. Now, if we look at the back of the box, it does show that we can also expect a fully transformed werewolf version as well, but I don't think this is being released until July, August time, but we'll certainly be picking it up when it does come out. Now, The American Werewolf in London is one of those movies for me that's lived long in the memory, probably because it's also one of the ones that I watched when I was far too young for the recommended age rating, and one of my first introductions to what I would call the proper horror movie genre. Now, American Werewolf in Paris from 1997 was a loose follow-up, although it does remove any kind of direct narrative connections to the original. It mostly received negative reviews, with criticism aimed at its CGI effects, tonal shifts, and the lack of the original's dark humour. Despite this, it has earned a bit of a cult following among fans of late 90s horror. So more shock horror characters next, with the little pale girl from Terrifier. Now, the Terrifier trilogy is a brutal and gore-filled horror franchise created by Damien Leone, centred around the sadistic Art the Clown. The films have gained a bit of a cult following for their extreme violence, practical effects, and relentless terror. Now, the little pale girl here is a mysterious and unsettling character introduced in Terrifier 2. She's revealed to be a demonic entity that seemingly resurrects Art the Clown after his apparent death in the first Terrifier film. She serves as his accomplice, guiding him and revelling in the chaos that he creates. Now, her origins remain a bit ambiguous, but she does take the form of Emily Crane, who's a deceased girl linked to Art's past. Her eerie interactions with Art, including their unsettling game of patty cake in a laundromat, add to the film's surreal horror. She plays a bit of a crucial role in setting up Terrifier 3 as well, hinting at even darker forces at play. And as you can see by the sticker here, this is a special edition here in the UK, and I believe it's also classed as a speciality series. It's also glow in the dark, with her eyes giving a yellowy green glow, just in case she needs to look any more sinister. And as you can see, she's got a very distinctive teeth on show, blood on both of her hands as well, and is also holding the tail of a freshly dead possum, or lunch maybe, as far as she's concerned. Now, the original Art the Clown set that came out in the middle of last year were super popular, with the bloody chase of Art with the glasses still commanding prices of around £200, so what's that, $270 across eBay, even after multiple restocks. I do have all the commons in the collection, but I wasn't lucky enough to actually get that chase. The Evil Dead franchise is a legendary mix of horror, comedy, and over-the-top gore, created by Sam Raimi and starring Bruce Campbell as the iconic Ash Williams. In the original Evil Dead from 1981, Ash and his friends head to a remote cabin where they unknowingly unleash deadites, or demonic entities, after reading the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Now, this film is a low-budget horror masterpiece, known for its intense gore and innovative camera work. In 1987, with Evil Dead 2, this was a kind of mix of sequel and remake, and reimagines the first film with a bigger budget and a more comedic tone. Ash battles deadites once again, leading to his chainsaw hand transformation and the infamous "Groovy" catchphrase. Now, the third film in the series, Army of Darkness from 1992, takes Ash into medieval times, where he must retrieve the Necronomicon to return home. Filled with slapstick humour, skeleton warriors, and Ash's legendary one-liners. This is my boomstick! Army of Darkness is a cult classic that leans heavily into adventure and comedy, and that's where the next two pops on our list come from. And the first one here is our hero, Ash Williams. Now, Ash is the legendary chainsaw-wielding protagonist of the Evil Dead franchise, played by Bruce Campbell. He's known for his sarcastic wit, over-the-top heroics, and relentless battle against the Deadites, making him one of horror's most iconic characters. And here he is, he's still wearing his S-Mart shirt in this one, with his name badge on one side there, and a little pen holder on the other. Now, he's not got his usual sort of chainsaw in this pot, but he does have his boomstick shotgun there, complete with its holster, and is wearing a medieval gauntlet as well on his right hand there. Now, a nice detail is that both the shotgun and the holster still have the S-Mart price tags attached, which, as Ash points out, you can find in the sporting goods department.
Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
And next up we have Ash's sinister doppelganger, Evil Ash. Now he emerges after Ash accidentally creates a twisted version of himself while smashing a mirror inside a windmill. Now this evil clone quickly becomes a major antagonist, leading an army of Deadites in a siege against Castle Kandar, all in an attempt to seize the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Now this pop is very similar to one that we had released as part of last year's Scare Fair. I'll stick a picture up over here. And we are actually missing that one from the collection, but I'm sure I'll pick it up at some point. But there is a load of detail included on this pop, from the skull helmet there, which sort of takes over most of the box, held on with a braided chin strap around his face, where the skin is literally starting to fall away, showing his little bits of his skull underneath, as you can see there. He's got Ash's standard blue shirt underneath his metal chestplate armour, surrounded by his red cloak that's flowing to the sides and the back of the pop there. Now prominently as well, he's got his oversized sword in one hand, and in the other you can see that he's clutching it by the blade, which in the movie he's just removed from his back after a final fight with Ash. Now Ash vs. the Evil Dead from 2015 up to 2018 was a TV series that followed an older Ash, reluctantly pulled back into the fight against the Deadites, proving that he still had what it takes. There are also 2 further reboots of the Evil Dead movies, with new groups of characters in 2013's Evil Dead and 2023's Evil Dead Rise. Now, from battling Deadites in the Army of Darkness to facing supernatural foes in Poltergeist, we'll shift the horror from medieval chaos to a haunting that's a little closer to home. Now, the original 1982 Poltergeist film, directed by Tobe Cooper and produced by Steven Spielberg, follows the Freeling family as their home is haunted by malevolent spirits. The film is famous for its eerie atmosphere, practical effects, and the iconic line,
"They're here."
Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, from 1986, expanded on the origins of the haunting, introducing the terrifying Reverend Cain, a cult leader whose spirit torments the family. The third instalment, in 1988, shifted the setting to a Chicago high-rise, where Carol Ann faced the supernatural horrors once again. And here we have the first ever pop from the Poltergeist movies, and who else but little Carol Ann. Now she's the young girl at the heart of the Poltergeist franchise, played by the late Heather O'Rourke. She's known for her eerie connection to the supernatural, particularly her ability to communicate with the spirits through the television. So this is her from the second instalment of the movies, clutching her doll in one arm there, and a toy phone in the other. Now, since the family removed all the televisions from their home to prevent another haunting, like in the first movie, the malevolent spirit of Reverend Cain finds a new way to reach Carol Ann through her phone. She's also dressed in a stripy night dress there, which in the movie also included some fruit on the design, but they haven't quite picked up that here. But I do still love this pop, which again brings back memories of being pretty scared by these movies as a kid. So we've got 3 more to finish off today. From hypnotic horrors to eerie doppelgängers and skybound mysteries, Jordan Peele has reshaped modern horror with characters in films including Get Out, Us and Nope, each capturing the essence of his chilling stories. Now we've got 1 pop from each of those movies, starting with Chris Washington from Get Out here. Now Chris is the protagonist of Get Out, played by Daniel Kaluuya. He's a talented photographer who visits his white girlfriend's family estate only to discover a horrifying secret. Her family is part of a sinister operation that hypnotises and brainwashes black individuals, placing their consciousness in the sunken place while their bodies are taken over by wealthy bidders. So this is the 3rd figure that we've had from Get Out, with the previous versions also both of Chris in 2019, and they're both in the collection. And here, as you can see, is shown with a rather bloody mounted deer head, which after being captured by the Armitage family and restrained, Chris notices this is attached to the wall. When he does manage to break free, he uses the antlers to impale Dean Armitage and bring about his end. Now earlier on in the film, Chris and Rose do actually hit a deer with their car, which at that point serves as a bit of a metaphor for his own vulnerability. By this stage in the film, however, it's sort of flipped that narrative of prey versus predator. Our next one is Red with a mask from the movie Us. Now Us follows Adelaide Wilson, played by Lupita Nyong'o, and her family as they take a vacation to Santa Cruz, where she is haunted by a traumatic childhood memory. One night, a family of 4 appears in the driveway, identical to them but twisted and violent. As the Wilsons fight for survival, Adelaide's past unravels, revealing a shocking truth about her connection to Red, the leader of the tethered. So again, this had a previous series of pops released with 6 figures of Adelaide and Jason and the doppelganger family of Red, Abraham, Umbre and Pluto. Again, these are actually already in the collection, and we even have the chase of Pluto where he's actually unmasked in that one. Now the original Red from 2019 had a clutching a pair of scissors, which is similar to the back of the box here. Whereas this one is almost replicating the original movie poster of her sort of pulling away a mask, which is essentially a spitting image of her own face there. Now it even replicates the single tear, which is coming from the one eye you can see, and includes the leatherback glove that she's holding to pull away the mask. Now I don't know why, but I do also quite like the fact that you've got the little sort of Funko standard nose included on the mask, and you can also see another version of it just poking out from the eye hole as it's being removed. It's a nice little touch. And finally, wrapping up our horror showcase, and the third in our trilogy of Jordan Peele movies, is OJ Hayward from Nope. Now in Nope from 2022, siblings OJ and Emerald Hayward discover that the UFO terrorising their ranch is actually a predatory alien called Jean Jacket. As they try and capture proof, OJ learns that the creature attacks those that actually make eye contact. Now the film was a critical and commercial success, praised for its ambition, performances and its unique approach to sci-fi horror. So OJ here, played again by Daniel Kaluuya in the movie, is our first pop that we've had from the Nope film. Now as you can see, he's wearing his Hayward Hollywood Horses cap, which is from the family business supplying trained horses for film productions. The rest of his outfit fairly closely replicates what he's wearing for a large section of the movie, which is a light blue long sleeve t-shirt with a grey blue vest and jeans. Now I don't know if you can see, but he's also wearing a sort of medallion chain there as well, through the dust, which I think is actually depicting St. Francis of Assisi. Now, as the patron saint of animals, it sort of makes sense that that's what it is, considering his occupation as a horse trainer. Now, as I say, OJ is the only Nope pop that we've had so far, with no more expected currently. Now, there is some scope to expand it, I suppose, with other characters within the film, such as maybe Emerald, Dupe, Antlers, or even Angel Torres, so we'll just have to wait and see if they come later down the line. And there you have it, a killer lineup of horror Funkos, bringing everything from chaotic gremlins to the eerie world of poltergeists to life. Whether it's the terrifying glow of the little pale girl, the madness of the killer clowns, or Ash Williams ready to take on the Deadites, these figures capture the essence of horror in miniature form. So which was your favourite? Why not let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this showcase, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more Funko Pop movie showcases. So until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, there's always another story to tell. We'll catch you in the next one.